Hello, everybody. How are you guys doing? Okay, I'm going to make sure you guys can all hear me all right. And by the way, Desiree Kuhn, happy birthday. Let's see. Okay. Oh my goodness. Hello from Sweden. Hello, is that Eleanor? Hello. Is this a fun setup today? I'm like really excited. We had a little bit of drama like 5 seconds ago. The captive was around here and like adjusting something on the, and he knocked into this so bad that I thought it was gonna go everywhere. So that would have been an interesting start to this. It actually would have just stopped the project from actually like moving forward. But now he's back in his cage over there. He's behaving himself. Okay. Hello from Pennsylvania. Hello, Tracy. Hello from Lynn, Massachusetts. Hello, Claire. Isn't this setup so fun? There's been no bats so far. So what I suspect is I got a message. I think Terry sent me a message saying that the fog machines can irritate the bats. So I was like, well, maybe no fog machines up here right now because I actually don't want to bother them. I don't know what you do about them. I know people are like, you can do bat houses, and I've thought about bat houses. But the only issue with that is there's a whole carriage house over there that's just sitting there waiting to be a home, and they've chosen this instead. And I had Mary Lynn Shepherd Lee come to the house, and she's a daughter-in-law of that Thomas Shepherd that had lived here from when he was a little boy in like 1901 to when he sold it in the 80s. And she lived here for a time. And she was saying, she just asked me, she's like, are there still bats in the walls? And I was like, yes, you can hear them like scratching. So bats have been here the whole time. Camera is a bit out of focus. Yes, it looks out of focus. Let me pause this really quick. Hold on 1 second. I'm back. So let's see. The captive just changed the batteries a second ago, and I think it reset the focus. So do you guys see me clearly now? Are my eyeballs shiny? Much better. Perfect. Okay. Thank goodness. Thank you guys for pointing that out. Okay, let's see. So I've never made taper candles before. I should have probably prefaced. I haven't done a lot of candle work, and like candle work is kind of something you can't just jump into and like pretend you're an expert at, like I do sometimes with woodworking. Woodworking, I don't have a whole ton of like expertise. I don't even know if that's the correct sentence. But I can play it off like I know what I'm talking about. But candle work is like you've got to know about waxes, you've got to know about wicks, you've got to know about temperatures and like all sorts of funny, weird things. So there's a reason people make like a gigantic career out of it, which, by the way, if you are somebody who thinks you would be good at this, I think it's like a massively fun career, or at least it can be, because you get to make all sorts of unusual things. The more unusual the things you make, obviously, the more in demand they're going to be. So, okay. Hello from France. It's midnight. Jordan, thank you so much for staying up. So nice of you. Okay. So what was I blathering about? I was just basically saying candle making is one of those I thought I was like, oh, I'll just like research it. And it was one of those, like, it was like stepping in mud. Like the more you try to pull yourself out of it, like you just get covered in it. So basically, there's a lot to it that is not easy to just like process all in one sitting. Somebody, okay. The lady, is it Lady Elaine or Lady Lane? Said I spend so much money on candles every year. I spend so much money on candles every year. I'm constantly, that's kind of how I scent my house. So the idea of actually being able to like customize your own candles so your house smells exactly how you want it to, as opposed to like being at the mercy of like wherever you can find a candle. Which, by the way, did anybody order any of those fragrances that I suggested? Because they're amazing. Leslie says, hello from the Mohawk Valley. We are very close. Hello, Leslie. Oh, Tracy says, I make candles as my side hustle. So you understand, like there's a lot that goes into it. Hello from Germany. Thank you guys for staying up. I did this on a Tuesday because I like to, obviously the vast majority of the people here are, it makes sense for me to do it on the weekends. But then, there are people that work the weekends. So once in a while, I do try to mix it up a little bit so as many people as possible can join live, even if you can't catch everyone live. You just made candles this weekend. Hello, Charlotte from England. Okay, so what do we got going on here? Because it's a whole lot going on. I started earlier today because I was like, I don't want to do this and look like I don't know what I'm doing at all. So I made a ton of these taper candles. I didn't quite finish them, so they're still a little thin. And then I was in a hurry right at the last minute, and I used some of the candles that I made in these candelabras. So those are real homemade candles. The benefits to making your own taper candles, because it's not like taper candles are so expensive, but you get to customize the exact shade or color that you want your taper candles. And you also get to add a scent that you prefer, because most of them come unscented. So the idea of not only like, so let's say you have like a really specific room that has an unusual color that you can't quite find the right tone for, you can make your own candles. And as you see, if you make one batch, like it's just like you can make like a gazillion. Hello from Boston. Hello, Mina. Oh, you're here. Hello. Are scented candles less toxic when you make them yourself? Christine, I have absolutely no idea. I don't know. I'm probably going to find out one day, but at the moment I don't know. Any bat friends? Maggie, I was just talking about, I haven't seen any today, and they've been real quiet. So I was saying that the bats have always been here, as far as I know, at least into the 60s. So if I could find someone that I knew could extract them carefully and take them to a happy, safe place where they would live wonderfully, I would do that. Because technically, there's a lot of things I didn't even know about. Apparently, if there's bat guano, there's some parasite in it that if you disturb it, it can do very bad things to you. So basically, and there's rabies, but rabies, I've researched it, and rabies, your risk is like, unless you're like, grabbing at them or doing something where like, I don't know, the risk is pretty low with the rabies, but still it is a risk. I stopped using candles when my kitten was very interested in being near while they were burning. I'm going to tell you a scary story that I shouldn't even tell you, but when you burn candles, put them in like a vase or some sort of, how like sometimes you'll go to like an older woman's house and she'll have some gigantic metal thing, like glass thing, and like one little candle inside of it. She's smart. There's a reason she's doing that. I was fiddling with candles downstairs just a few days ago, and my mom was here with me. And poof, jumped up on the counter. And I'm so paranoid about fires and hurting animals that I'm usually so on top of it. I don't think that there's much room for something bad to happen, but Poof's little tail flicked the candle, and the end of his tail went up. And my mom was right there, and I was right there. My mom was the one who just put it out instantly. So he didn't even know something happened. But I have been having, like, it was like a traumatic event for me. So I've kind of stopped burning candles anywhere near where the cats are. So take that horribly scary story and apply it to your own life. So basically, get giant glass things and put your candles in them. Because cats, I didn't even know cats are flammable. I thought like we've had cats my whole life, and occasionally they'd singe their whiskers or something, but like his tail caught fire. So luckily he's happy, he's beautiful. He's missing a little bit of the end of his tail. So it's not really funny. Be careful with your cats and fire. Let's see. My mom was like, I don't think you should tell that story. And I was like, well, what if I tell that story and somebody prevents it from happening? So that's my reason for sharing. So basically, also thank my mother for making sure Poof was okay. Let's see. Hello from Switzerland. Hello. Okay, I can't pronounce that name. It looks really beautiful. Mariness. Okay. So let's think about what we're doing. So I've got this. It's by the Flaming Candle. This one's Autumn Flannel. It's a fragrance. This thing is filled to the brim with, I've already tinted it. So I used just paraffin wax and I added some white dye so it would be a little bit more opaque. Just like straight paraffin can be kind of translucent. And then I added just a hint of yellow and brown so it would come off kind of like an ivory color. Any new finds in the house? My gosh, do I have a story there? A really exciting one. So let's see. Hi, Christine from the Philippines. Hello. Thank you so much for tuning in. Okay. This one's called Autumn Flannel. And I really don't need to add a lot. That in. And normally, like, you'd use like a big stick or something, but all I have is this. So apparently this is what we're using right now. I just want to stir that in. I mentioned in the episode that fragrances bond with wax. Obviously, different waxes have different temperatures, but paraffin seems to do good at around like 150 to 160. And the reason you want to, make sure it's warm enough so that they do bond, because it will affect like the longevity of the fragrance when you burn it. Doesn't it sound like I know what I'm talking about? Thank God for YouTube and like people like sharing their own information. Hi from Virginia. Hello. Is it Kate? Okay. See how that smells. Ooh, it smells really good. Okay. So you're going to need some nuts. I kind of like gave you guys an instruction and then realized this morning that like, oh, wait, there's something better. So I gave you an instruction for like a board, but really, if you just go to the hobby store and get some like wooden discs, these are just like like cut pieces of bark tree. I don't know. I'm not fully coherent today. So anyway, you take a saw and you like saw like a few times. I don't think you can see, but basically you saw that way and you saw that way, depending on how many candles you want to make. And I actually ended up having to take like a Dremel tool. I'm not going to do it here because it's just so loud. So I did it off camera. So basically you do that and then you punch a couple holes in just with like a drill. So, and then we're going to string through some twine. So basically this part is dirt cheap. And if you like go online and try to buy something to do this, like it costs like a fair amount of money. And these work exactly the same and they'll last indefinitely. So I feel like this is kind of a better way to do it. The bigger the circle, obviously make sure your pot can accommodate that. The more cuts you can make because you can use more candles. And the smaller the circle, maybe just like 2 candles on that one. Let's see. Okay. What was I talking about? Let me get a sip. The captain made me some tea right before. Okay. Did the furniture in your setup come with the house, or did you buy or build it? Did I not talk about the furniture? Have I just been like telling like human people in front of me? So the stuff here. So obviously the house is ancient. It was built by a man and a woman. They had three daughters and a son, and those three daughters like literally lived virtually their whole life here pretty much. Um, and several of the crates that I'm using here have the names like one says Carrie Richardson, one says Lillian Shepherd, who she was the daughter that had gotten married and her husband passed away and she came back home. So like some of these are the crates of these ladies that I'm using. And then I also went to like a bunch of antique stores and like, oh my gosh, which one? It's Antique Showcase in Little Falls, New York. I was about to say California, where if I'm ever looking for something weird or like kind of, I have, oh my God, some crazy sound just happened over there. We have no idea what that was. And because all of the lights are shining on me, it's totally dark over there. Let me pause this really quick and make sure that a monster isn't here. So hold on one second. So a haunting incident just occurred, maybe? Some paintings fell over that were over there. They've been sitting in the same place for a month. There's no reason for them to have fallen over right now. And they made a whole sort of crash. So ghosts, a bat couldn't have done that. So maybe I was talking about the daughters and maybe that was them saying hi. I mean, I could have used like a flickering candle instead of something that stopped my heart. Okay, let's see. What was I talking about? I don't remember now. That scared the bejesus out of me. Whenever I hear a crashing sound, I'm just like, I don't know what to think. So I always imagine the worst. Okay, so what was I saying? So you can make these little things. And like I said, I got these at Bed Bath & Beyond. It's kind of like better than the thing that I bought that was actually for it because it's actually taller. So you can make taller candles, which is sort of ideal. So you take these circular rounds, you cut a few grooves in, and then you punch a few holes, and then, let's see, I've already cut my wick, so they're right there. Okay. So we've got some twine. It can be anything. It doesn't have to be. You can substitute so many things for a lot of the things that I do. So we're going to take one, going to put that through and just tie a double knot just to be safe. And then you pull that taut. And then you work that through on the other side going down. So you're just creating like a horseshoe. Okay. And then you do another double knot. Someone's saying, Matt, I'm going to have to read that maybe after. But that looks interesting. Let's see. Okay. That thing just turned off, and I'm going to have to turn it back on. There we go. We want to warm that up. Okay, so a little double knot. Just trim that. And then there you go. You have like a little handle. And I've put some like hooks in around me, and you can just like hang them anywhere. The reason it's best, let's see. If the sound is being funny, it's because the speaker is right here and I keep going like this, and it's probably making the sound a little funny. I'll try to keep my face this way. That will be, this is my good side anyway, so I'm fine with like doing everything like this. Let's see. All right. So determine, I've already cut a bunch of wicks here. So you basically want to figure out the length and then double it, and then give yourself just a little bit extra. The sound is vibrating. I wonder if maybe it's because it's on something that's doing that. Let me try. I don't know if that's good or bad. Okay, we're going all the way with this. Is that better? I don't even think you can see it. Everything sounds normal to me. Sound is fine here. Okay, so maybe one person's having like a speaker issue and I'm like, ah. Okay, so, oh, little nuts. These are perfect. The kind of like, you want like a slightly weightier one. Don't use one that's like too flimsy. Okay, sound is good. Everyone's saying sound is good. Okay, so you tie a single knot, and then you tie a double knot. Oh, what I was saying, make a whole bunch of these all at once, and I'll explain why you want to do that. If you have a ton prepared, when you dip them, you kind of want to wait about 30 seconds to a minute before you dip it again. So if you make a whole bunch of these, for one, you're not wasting any time because you can dip one, start dipping the next, start dipping the next, and you just keep going. And then by the time you've, done the last one, you can circle back to that first one that you started and it's ready to dip. So basically you can do a ton of them fairly quickly this way. No overhead camera today. No, I didn't think it would. Because we're like against the roof, I didn't set it up for this one. But next time. Okay. So I'm tying a little bolt to the string, and on the other end, I'm tying a little bolt. And it's a double knot. And I would guess my string, maybe that's a foot, maybe it's like 2.5 feet long. And essentially what you do is you just tuck it under that little handle and you hang it. So that's the first one. So it's pretty easy. Okay. Let's see. And then you grab another one. This is only like 2 cuts into it. So it's going to make a total of 4 candles. And by the way, this is like a fun thing to do. And if the candles don't come out like totally perfect, they're homemade. So it kind of, I just think it's fun on its own. Where did you get all your bottles? Well, for one, the house came with a ton of interesting bottles. And then in addition to that, like the scientific-y looking ones, I went to this place called Antique Showcase in Little Falls, and they had a bunch of like unusual looking stuff. Let's see. Okay. And then you just take that second one and you lay it right over. So you want to make sure they're all level. So that looks just about right. And then you can, that's a bat. Okay, don't get mad. If a bat starts flying around, we're going to pause and I'm going to put on a whole thing. I didn't think they were going to be here today for some reason. I tried not irritating them. Okay, I was totally calm and now I feel like a bat's going to like fly at the back of my head. All right, so I'm going to take this one. Do the same thing. I'm going to do a few of these so I have a number to run through. The bat wants to make candles. I kind of feel like he wants to bite my neck and turn me into creature of the night, which, no, if they had like vegan creatures of the night, I don't know. I could do that. You said I'd be so worried that the bat's going to land on me. Oh, believe me, I'm worried it's going to land on me. I don't generally tend to get too afraid of like little critters. Obviously, I don't want rabies. But like, what are they going to do to you for the most part? Like, let's say a bat lands on me and bites me, like I'm going to go get a rabies shot and I'll be fine. Are bats flammable? I don't want to find out. So let's see. Hold on. I was going somewhere with that. Oh, we have mice. I don't know if I should tell you that, but like, I've never had mice. Like, I don't know that they're the cutest little things. They're itty bitties. They're like little adorable, like itty bitty. So anyway, we have like humane traps that like you put some peanut butter in and it like captures them. And then in the morning, you like take them far away and set them free. I've been setting them free in the carriage house, which is just not good for, but I was worried because we saw an owl in the tree and I don't want to like set them free where they're just like, we've set like a few snakes loose in like the wood pile. And the captain was like, we'll set them over by the wood pile. I was like, are you like, what? No, that's full of snakes. So snakes, bats, mice. This house is exciting. Okay, let's see. I'm like really hoping that bat doesn't. So far it just squeaked once. I think it got irritated about something. Where can I hang this? I think I can hang this right over here. Okay. So now that I've got a few of those going, I don't think we need to do a ton because I've kind of done a whole bunch. Let's see. We would set mice free at the golf course near our house. I like that idea. Maybe you guys can give me some suggestions on like where you can set mice free. My mom was telling me that they can come back to the house. And so on a few of them, I was taking like a non-toxic paint and like opening the lid and like painting like the nape of their neck just to see if I was just getting the same mouse over and over again. And so far, I have not seen that blue streak on anybody else. Do be careful when you're cleaning mouse residue. Yes, we're pretty conscientious of all of that stuff. But it's definitely like, I don't know. In California, I don't recall ever seeing mice, or I don't know if that's something to do with this area, or maybe I lived in an area where mice were kind of rare. But when people like scream and get afraid of, I don't even understand that. Like they're If you like, again, if you like, they can have diseases, so you don't want to play with them, and they don't want you to play with them. They look like they're very terrified. We've seen them like on the cameras out in the carriage house, and I told Grant, like, I was like, they're either sitting totally still or like running at like full pace. Like they don't live in any kind of calm as far as I can tell. Let's see. The water is spiriting. Oh, I was getting. Oh, keep going. This thing's all over the place. Okay, so let's start dipping candles and see how this works out. Bats are super cute close up. I think they are adorable. Flying foxes are just basically like puppies with wings. I don't even know if you can, I mean, technically they're bats, but like they just are, they're so cute. They're like Pixar cute or something. So then you just take a can, you take one of these, and you make sure all of the little, they're all in their little grooves. You just take that and you dip it once. Set that aside. And then while you wait, I'm just going to grab one of these other ones. Just take that. I can actually put this off. These weren't quite ready. Ooh. So the fun of this little setup that looks so cute is there's a giant beam right behind my. So when I set it up, I was thinking about like how dynamic and interesting the shot was going to be, and not at all factoring in how impractical it was going to be. And this other one. I got a whole bunch going beforehand because I was like, technically this can take a long time. And I don't necessarily want to bore you guys to tears because I think you have to dip them something like, I don't know. I'm just throwing a guess in the dark. I think something like 25 times or something. But it's a lot. So this one should be ready. Just dip it again. And it takes a while, but it does start to look like something. Okay. While we wait for some of these to set up, do you guys have any questions? I'm happy to answer any. Ooh, someone said, can't you do hot wax, cold water? Don't do that. Because I tried that. And water soaks down into the wick and it just makes them like burn funny. So like if when you burn something, it starts like sputtering and doing all sorts of things and it puts itself out. Is the attic cold? It's freezing. So I've got 2 space heaters up here. I've called our HVAC guy and like I want him to basically put a unit in here that when we want to be in here, you can, you know, cool it down if you want, or you can make it nice and toasty, and then you just turn it off when you're not using the space. But he didn't call me back, so I'm assuming they're busy. How has life been within the new home? Any strange, spooky encounters? You see a lot of like, did I just see something? That happens all the time. And then sometimes you feel like somebody's looking at you, which is really creepy. Let's see. Are you reading any good books or listening? I listened to a really good one. It's upsetting. Let me look and see what it was. I'm going to make sure I say the right one.
This is on.
My God. It was the narrative of the life of Frederick Douglass, and he was somebody who escaped slavery, and like it's a first person account of somebody who witnessed, or not just witnessed, endured that. So It was one of those, I don't know, it just got interesting to me, and like it was a really compelling book. It's very, very upsetting, but it's interesting to hear about something that you've heard so much about growing up, like from somebody who it happened to. So that was a really good one. Let's see. How do you clean a house like yours? Very slowly. It's really hard to keep up with everything. So, um, I do my best. Let's see. How did you like Salem last month? It was miserable. We went right around Halloween, and the weather, I've never seen anything like it. It was so horribly bad. Like normally you think like a little drizzly rain, I can deal with that. It was freezing cold and windy and rainy. So the rain was going sideways. You couldn't even really do anything. So it was a bit of a bummer. So I don't know. And you can't really know that the weather's going to do that. It was like 2 days before Halloween. Let's see. What is your least favorite chore? Let's talk about what my very favorite chores are instead. Something's weird about me. I love washing dishes in the sink. Like, I think I just like the hot water flowing over my hands. And the second thing is I love ironing. I'm going to do an episode on this at some point. I don't know when. I'm going to show you guys like how to make a bed or like how I make my bed. If you want to change your whole life, start ironing your sheets. I know it sounds bananas and it takes a whole bunch of extra time, and I dread every time I'm like, oh, it's time to wash the sheets because I know that's going to be like a big process. Um, but sleeping in freshly washed ironed sheets is kind of unbelievable. It's so nice that when I go to like a really nice hotel, I get into the bed and I'm like, oh, this isn't as nice as what I do at home because obviously they're not going to iron the sheets. And when people come and stay here, they often talk about how comfortable the beds are. Let's see. Washing dishes is calming. I don't know why. It's just like my brain blanks out and I tend to think of happy things. So I've just always liked doing it, and it works out really well because the captive hates doing it. I love oiling the antique wood. I never do that. I should do that. So yeah, those are the things like ironing and washing dishes. I'm trying to think. Oh, chores I don't like. I don't like taking out trash. That's like something I personally like have like a mental aversion about. So that's something I pester him about. How was your trip with your mom? It was so much fun. So the captive went somewhere, and then my mom came to stay because I know I put on all this like spooky persona, but like the truth is I'm a scaredy cat in some ways. And like this house is not a house you can be by yourself in at night. Um, so my mom came out and we went and stayed. It was called the Lake Placid Lodge. It was really, really pretty. So we actually like had Thanksgiving there. I don't really care about Thanksgiving. I know people have different holidays that they love, and it's one that I could, if it just went away, I don't know that it would do too much to me. Okay. Can't wait to see this year's Christmas decor. Literally, we're finishing up this, and then tomorrow we're going to start breaking out all the Christmas stuff. So I'm really excited. Oh my gosh, let's talk about a movie. It's so off brand for all of this, but you're going to love it. It's called Free Guy with Ryan Reynolds. It is not a movie I thought I was going to watch. And then we just ran out of movies to watch. And my mom had just told me, she's like, I watched that and it was really good. It was so happy. So, like, if you just want to feel happy, it's called Free Guy. I like how I'm talking about it like it's like some obscure indie movie and it's like a giantly popular movie. Someone said I just watched it. Isn't it so happy? Oh my God, it just filled me with so much happiness. So watch it. So I like rented it because I was like, this is going to be awful. the second it was over, I like went back and I was like buying that one. It was such a guilty pleasure. I know it's like there are certain things that I don't like, you know, I guess like proclaim my love for because it seems kind of odd with all of the things that I do. But that was one that was just fantastic. Okay. Do you like Phantom of the Opera? I like Gerard Butler in the Phantom of the Opera movie. I don't know if I've talked about this, but if anyone wants to see Gerard Butler in like Dracula 2000 or Phantom of the Opera, he's impressive looking. Have you ever tried contacting the ghosts in your house? Yes. When Suzanne was here, we had like a seance and it didn't work. So I think you have to turn out all of the electricity and just have candles. I don't know why I think that, but I just think that. So I'm not done trying, is what I'm saying. I just watched Nocturnal Animals. That is a feel bad movie. It's an interesting movie. I would definitely have watched it. But it's not happy. Be careful what you conjure. That's a good point. Ever see any of the House of Wax movies? I've only seen the one with Paris Hilton, and I thought it was good. Okay, let's see. Someone said, I would love an ironing bed tutorial. Would you guys want to see that? Like me, like showing like how I like make a bed. I would show how I would make it for a guest because I think that's like a really helpful thing for people to know. What was your latest splurge? Anything? I'm trying to think. I've been a little boring lately. We got another couch. We were sitting on, so these people bought this house and ran it as a bed and breakfast in the 1980s, and they had this couch that we just tolerated. We were sitting on it. It was like back in like the den area. And I won't buy things to replace something if I know I'm going to end up replacing that thing. So I will tolerate something for a really long period of time until I find the right replacement for it. So finally, I found a really good one. It was at the Waverly Square Antiques in Ballston Spa. And it was a really nice little couch. No recent eBay purchases. Not that are that exciting. No. I've been a little boring. I think what has been going on, the candle stuff, which by the way, my God, okay, if we're talking about splurging, I don't know if it's a splurge. The equipment to do all of this stuff is pricey, especially to stage it like this. So that's why I'm saying, like, if you do it with the intention that you're going to make a bunch of candles, it's more practical than thinking like you're just going to make a few. Did you ever by any chance buy a sleigh to fix up? No, that sounds fun. The octopus bowl. I got the octopus bowl like, gosh, in June, something like that. So I've had that for a minute. Oh my gosh, Claire. Claire says, where are the Halloween pillows you bought from the store? I didn't even talk about this. So remember I said I went to Salem and it was terrible? That's not entirely true. I went to the House of Seven Gables and I met Claire. Hi, Claire. And she recognized me and she was selling some, like the gift shop had some pillows for sale. They're downstairs in case you wanted to know. I've been using them on the couch. They're very cozy, by the way. So yes, that was something good. The House of Seven Gables also was really fascinating. Did you make the lampshade? No. So this I got on eBay. This is ancient. Like it's literally if you touch it, beads start falling off of it. And it's got like a hand painted bird on it. Basically, it's a really like lavish, expensive, fancy lampshade when it was made. And now it's just like disintegrated. And so I bought it because it was disintegrating. And I thought it would look cool in here. At some point one day, I would like to restore it. But I mean, obviously the fabric would have to be replaced. But I would like to see if I could, do the same thing over to it. Okay, let's see. Let's tip candles again really quick. So see, they start bulking up. Takes a minute. And you have to make sure they stay on there. You don't want them sticking together like that. This is hard to do on camera. Okay. Let's see. Do I have one over here? So you kind of just want to go around. And this would be so much fun to do like while watching a movie. Somebody asked if it was cold earlier. It's freezing. I mentioned that already. So let me like see if I can warm my hands up a little bit on this maybe. Maggie said I fixed an old clock because of your video. That makes me so happy. I love discovering new things that you can do that like are things you don't think about how they're made, like the taper candles. I never thought about how they're made. And obviously like the ones you buy at the store or online are like machine, like they're just like done like in an assembly or something. But these are like hand dipped and special. So I kind of feel like with Christmas coming up, personally, my favorite gifts are things that have been like handmade. That's always been like something it's more memorable. Like if you buy somebody something that you bought somewhere, it's like very easy for them to forget where it came from. But if you make something, it generally tends to stand out. And if you make something really great, it really stands out. So if you make a beautiful set of these candles and they're scented or colored, or you've added some texture to them and you give them out as a gift, people will remember that and they will think it's amazing. The wicks behind you got twisted. They did. Thank you for telling me. You're not supposed to do that. As you can see, before I was being filmed, I was like knocking these out. I was like very diligently like dipping this and this and this and this. And now I'm kind of very like haphazardly grabbing this one and then grabbing that one. Kind of felt like Sarah Jessica Parker in Hocus Pocus when she goes into the and she's like looking for her lucky rat tail. Should we talk about things? Oh, somebody asked if anything interesting, secret stuff had happened. Hold on one second. I do have something to tell you. So, remember in the dining room, I uncovered that wallpaper. I was able to restore that paper, and I think that's the only wallpaper in the house that I'll be able to like actually restore. But I have found a total of 3 rooms in the house that the wallpaper is there. It's just been painted over. So one of the rooms in the, I call it the sitting room or the smoking room. It's when you first come in off to the side. It's like a powder. It's the room where my eyeball portrait is hanging. That's getting really aggressive. Let's calm you down a little bit. Okay. It's like sputtering and like making a big old mess. Okay, so I took some paint stripper to a section of that behind the door. And guess what? I uncovered what I'm assuming is probably the original wallpaper. It's like this light sagey green with this dark foresty green pattern, like a kind of, it's a simplistic thing. So anyway, Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. There's no photographs of this room, so there's no way to know how long ago this was done. The paper, I took off like a little section of it. It looks ancient, like ancient, ancient. So I'm assuming it's probably the original paper in the room. And there's a multitude of paint layers on top of it. So what I'm going to do is I will be in an episode taking off a big chunk and revealing what it looks like, getting it. I'm either going to do one of two things. Either I'm going to have wallpaper printed that is like a replica of it, or I might go in and just hand paint the whole thing back in. It's not a terribly complex pattern, nothing like the dining room, but it would be so beautiful. And my goal with the house, I've said this before, is to, if I can figure out what a room looked like before, I want to try to restore it to what it originally looked like. So this is one room I'm definitely going to be able to do that with. And I'm really jazzed about it. I love, like, it's kind of, that's the thing about buying a house like this is you're constantly uncovering like new little mystery things if you find that interesting. And I sure do. Let's see. How do you make sure the candles fit in the holders? Just stop. So sometimes I'll take like a brulee torch and I'll just like blast the end of it until it gets narrow enough that it'll fit. So I do a lot of funny things to get the candles to stay put. When do we get the tutorial on doing the eyes for the spooky painting? That was the painting. That was the episode. When do we? That already came. That was the October episode. Let's see. What else was I going to talk about? I was talking about something in the library. So I mentioned, you know, the house was built by this man and this woman, and they had these 3 daughters. One of the daughters was a doctor, and I was going through the library. I opened up the glass cupboards, and I just pulled out like a dusty old book up in one of the things and pulled it down. And it was a medical book, and there was a bookmark sort of tucked into it. And I opened it to the bookmark page, and her name was Jenny Richardson, and she had written notes. It was like a medical thing about like a lung disorder, and she had been like writing notes and then closed this book and put it back up there. And she passed away, I think, in 1958. So she's been gone. That's a while. It's like 60 some odd years. And she may have been the last person to like touch that book and open it. And like, so that's when I say like, it's really neat getting a house like this where there's like the stuff is still here. That's sort of, it's like something from a movie or something. What all candle scents did you buy? So I went around all of the websites. Let me start dipping some more while I can talk to you. I bought a lot of the little ones because you can buy like samples basically that only cost like $2 because you don't want to commit to some giant amount of fragrance if you don't know that you're going to like it. So cashmere plum. It was not the flaming candle. Gosh, I should have brought that up here. It's downstairs. I'll try to make a note of that and post it like somehow. I'll make an edit to this video in the text and I'll add it in there. Oh, I didn't tell you. So obviously the candles that I made, remember how I wasn't happy with this one? And it's fine. But then I made them in red, which by the way, if I could redo this live stream, I would have had another camera set up because it would have been helpful. But I made this in red. I'm going to photograph it and post it on Instagram. And I just, red is the color, essentially. They look amazing in red. I'm going to make it look all like Christmassy. Dip some more candles. So Crimson Peak, that was exactly what I thought. I love that movie. What's the next movie night we should do? Like, what's a movie we should see again? Let's see. You could sell those candles. Oh, thank you. My hands are freezing. Krampus is a good idea. I like Krampus. Dark Shadows, that's just my best. Maybe we'll save Dark Shadows for a little later in the year because that's like one of my very, very favorite movies. A very calming thing to do, I think. I like how that bat did like one little squeak just to like announce his presence and then just like hushed up. Krampus is fantastic. Have you read Elvira's book yet? No, I haven't, but I did just watch her like movie from the 80s where she moves to that town. It was really, really good. I like how she looks the same now. I don't know how old she is, but she doesn't look any different than she did, which is impressive because she looked pretty hot and still does. The Shining. Ooh, I like that. The Ghost in Mrs. Muir. I love that one. It's so good. She's 70. Okay. I don't know. I watched this Are You Afraid of the Dark episode when I was like a little kid, and these people were like staying young by sleeping in Tupperware. And maybe that's what she's doing. I don't know. Clue. We're definitely going to do that. And we'll have to like have a dress up thing that goes along with it. Okay, let's see. You remember the episode? It was so good. It's funny, like, so I've been obsessed with scary stuff my whole life, and you progress from like when you're very young, what your parents will like allow you to subject yourself to. And I started with like, Are You Afraid of the Dark? I'm trying to think of what else. Not Fear Street, Goosebumps was how I started. And then I progressed to Fear Street, and then I went up to like Dean Koontz books, and then it went on to like Stephen King stuff. So it just progressively got like scarier. Tim Curry. I think Tim Curry should be cloned so we can have another one of him. Okay, let's dip this. Do you see how it's kind of starting to like build up a little bit? Which I'm very happy about. But I do feel like this one's come off the rails. It's best if you make those grooves like fairly deep. I don't think I did them deep enough on this one. Look at it, it's starting to look like candles. This is the most impractical place to be doing this. Okay. Do you guys have any other questions? What am I going to do with them all? I'm going to use them all. Like, I go through candles like crazy and like candelabras and things like that. So, yes, I'm going to be using them all. And this is a good amount. And I think I'm just leaving the setup here. So every time I need more, I'll just come and I'll make a whole bunch more. And by the way, I've got a big old fire extinguisher here. That was something I did the last within the last few weeks. I bought 1 million fire extinguishers and I put them everywhere. So if you feel like, if you smell smoke, it's like you can just grab a fire extinguisher. Fire is basically like my greatest fear at the moment. Will your mom ever make an appearance on the channel? I am sure. But I might like have to do some like makeup-y stuff to her that's kind of fun. I don't know if she'll go for it, but we'll see. Fire safety. It's so important. Thank you. My mom's watching. Thank you again for saving little Poof. Let's dip these again. And basically what happens is once they build up enough that they're like pretty substantial, then that bolt, you just like cut it off with some scissors. And you can usually peel the wax off of it and just set it aside and reuse it again. And just throw that spare wax back into your thing. Is the candle room next to the gift wrapping room? Can I tell you a secret? This is actually, I may have already told you this. Somebody asked chores that I don't like. I loathe wrapping presents. Some people like doing it. For me, it's too repetitive, which I mean, washing dishes is repetitive. So I don't know. It just ticks off some box for me that I don't like wrapping presents. So like I usually do it like kind of like a little haphazardly. But I really do like getting presents that are like somebody's put like a ton of love and care into. It's very like fun and special. And if a gift is really important and I'm giving it away, then I'll make sure it looks perfect. The heat is draining out of my fingertips. And you just do that. Okay. All right. So I'm very close to being completely booby trapped here. Well, I could spend an eternity doing this repetitive motion over and over again, and I'm not going to subject you guys to that. So this is pretty much how you do it. You just do that over and over again. And then once you've, got them kind of bulked up to a like diameter that you're happy with, just trim them off. It's best, I think, to let them cure for a good amount of time. I didn't do that with the ones in the candelabras. I literally made them like 2 hours ago, and which, by the way, I feel like they're doing really good for the first ones I've ever done. So I'm kind of jazzed about that. So anyway, what do we have coming up this month? We're going to do a craft along that's coming up in the month of December. And then I'm going to be making, I don't want to tell you, it's little and it's cute. Like I said, I'm keeping the projects kind of small this December. And then we're going to start getting back into like room restoration and stuff like that, January, February, and on. So we're just going to do something fun and easy. No bats got me this time, which is always nice. So anyhow, don't burn yourselves down. Don't get bitten by a bat. Don't set your cat on fire. Just be very careful if you get involved in any of this stuff. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. I will see you again very soon.